January 29th, 2026 Planning Board meeting to order. We have the following board members with us today. We have Vice Chair Giraldo in attendance.
Good morning, everybody.
And we have Commissioner Poirier virtually. You're on mute.
Morning.
And I am Chairman Barnes. We'll now move forward with the business at hand. Please note that the deadline for all participation, pre-registration, and for all submission of materials and exhibits was 12 noon on Tuesday before the Planning Board meeting. Please note that walk-in speaking sign-ups is no longer permitted. Now we will move forward with today's agenda. The order of cases for today's meetings is as follows. Items 2, 3, 4, and 6. Item 5 was removed from the agenda. The first item on the agenda is item 2, draft minutes from January 22, 2026 meetings. Is there a motion?
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. I will now call a roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 3A, legislative updates. My favorite person, Ms. Gomez.
Your favorite, Ms. Battendush or Ms. Gomez? Good morning, Chairman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, Natalia Gomez with the Planning Director's Office. Item 3A is a legislative amendment. Before I start, pursuant Section 27-30C01C1, a legislative amendment shall be initiated only by a member of the District Council or the Chair of the Council at the request of the Planning Board. And the reason I'm here today is for the latter one. I respectfully request the Planning Board to initiate a legislative amendment to amend the principal use table to permit qualified data centers in specific rural and agricultural and residential based zones and set forward requirements for qualified data centers in the agricultural AR zone and residential E estate zone. And
are there any questions for Ms. Gomez?
I have none.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you so much. Next up is Deborah Borden and Jordan Colbert. Ms. Borden. All right, we will come back to them. We will move forward with the consent agenda. Is there a motion or is there anyone who wishes to oppose the staff recommendation on the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, after consideration of the record for items number 4B, 4D, and 4E, I move adoption of the staff findings and approval of the items on the consent agenda in accordance with the recommendations of staff.
So moved.
Been properly moved and second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Poirier.
And I vote aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you so much. We will now move forward into the regular agenda items. Item 5 was removed from the agenda. So the next item is item 6, preliminary plan of subdivision, Silver Hill Apartments. Other favorite person. It is now on you, Ms. Vandentoos.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and member of the board. For the record, my name is Mahsa Vatandus with the subdivision section. Supplemental item number 6 on the agenda is the preliminary plan of subdivision for Silver Hill Apartments, PPS-2024-031. This preliminary plan of subdivision was continued from the January 22nd Planning Board hearing to today, January 29, 2026 Planning Board hearing. This subdivision proposes one parcel for development of 250 multifamily residential dwelling units. Prior to the noon deadline on January 27, 2026, 2 letters were received from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Goldsmith, and 2 emails were received from a citizen, Ms. Tawanda Carter. These materials are provided as additional backup materials for this preliminary plan of subdivision. The applicant is requesting a continuance of this preliminary plan from today, January 29, 2026 to February 5, 2026 to allow the applicants and their team to conduct additional community engagements. If the continuance is granted, additional posting will not be required, and the notices of the public hearing signs for this application were posted on the subject site on December 23, 2025. This concludes the staff's presentation. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the planning board for staff?
I thought today was the last day. Has the applicant agreed to waive the?
Yeah, they submitted a waiver, 70-day waiver for the planning board's review of the case.
And the next date is February 5th?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the exhibits provided by the applicant's team was the waiver, the 70-day waiver, and the other one is the continuance to the next week's.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, I move that we continue PPS-2024-031 to the next hearing date of February 5th, 2026.
Mr. Chair, I second that.
Been properly moved and second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
And I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you so much. We will now go back to item 3A. Ms. Borden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to the planning board members and staff. I'm Deborah Borden. I'm the general counsel for the commission, and I have a few bills to talk to you about today. I guess we're going to start with the Confederate names establishment. This is an issue that has come up several times. I think this bill did come up either last year or the year before. It is styled now as HB 47. So the bill would establish a commission on Confederate names to develop and implement a framework to identify real property owned by the state or its political subdivisions that bear Confederate names. So the commission has some recent experience with this kind of work. In particular, Montgomery County did a lot of this work in the past 5 years, where they looked at any properties that were owned in Montgomery County. And also because the commission handles the naming of streets, we also took a look at that. And it is an involved process. You really need to sort of do your history homework. You have to make sure that you're dealing with a good definition of what Confederate names are and what that means. So that you are being consistent and not arbitrary about how you do this. So we put together some information that we'd like to provide. We provided this information before when this bill came up. And we would like to put this informational sheet in, but also we'd like to offer our help when the bill comes up for committee hearing. We would like to send, last time we sent Matt Mills from our land use team in Wheaton because he was very involved in the renaming process in Montgomery County. We'd like to send him for just a resource. It worked out really well last time, and we'd like to do that again. I'll stop there and see if you have any questions about it.
I have one more comment, Deborah. Just to add that in 2021, Prince George's County Planning participated in a task force for similar renaming with the county agencies as well. So, and within the position statement, you'll also see a note there where there have also been participation from them too. And I'll stop.
Right. The issue that usually comes up with this is cost. How much is this going to cost? Where are the resources going to come from? That sort of thing. So I assume that'll be the discussion again this year in the General Assembly.
Are there any questions for Ms. Borden?
Just one. So, Ms. Borden, this would involve as well the changing of the names of streets?
It would involve government-owned property. So that would sometimes include streets and sometimes not.
Streets, buildings, parks, and subdivisions.
Right. So streets that are privately owned, no, it wouldn't be covered by this.
I have no further questions.
Okay.
So, let me just
Before
add,
that,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to ask, is this for the state or just the county?
This would be a statewide bill. This is a bill to do a statewide commission on this naming process.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
All right, that was it. Thank you. You may proceed.
We need a vote for support with amendments.
Well, it's styled now as informational, but we could do a support with amendments. I mean, it's written with lots of tips and information about how to do this sort of right. But we had just styled it as an information sheet, so we don't really need a vote for that.
Okay.
So we can move on to the next bill.
So, Ms. Borden, you don't need a vote. You don't need a vote from the board at this point.
No, as long as you're fine with us providing this information and sending someone down to do the same, basically provide information.
Okay, thank you.
Next bill is House Bill 160. This is another Confederate naming bill, but this bill simply prohibits the future naming of any government property, government-owned property, or political subdivision-owned property. So any of the political subdivisions of the state would be prohibited from prospectively, from the point where the bill is enacted and thereafter, naming anything, any of their property after Confederate, people who volunteered for the Confederate Army, or anything that commemorates the Confederate States of America. That's the way it's styled. So it doesn't require a commission. It doesn't require further action. It just requires that you not in the future name anything after Confederate states.
How would this affect any of our park and planning buildings or property?
Well, since this is a prospective bill, this is saying you can't do this in the future.
No, I understand. I go back to House Bill 47 as well as 160. How does any of those things affect our property?
Well, it's my understanding that when this first came up 5-6 years ago, both the Montgomery and Prince George's side took a look at our names and our naming of our facilities. And I know we got confirmation from Montgomery Parks that nothing is named by name. Nothing comes under this this rule anymore. You know, there isn't anything still named after Confederate, anything that would commemorate Confederate States of America or anybody who voluntarily served in the Confederate States of America Army. So that's the definition, and that search has already been done. And I think that same research has been done on the Prince George's side, but I didn't get confirmation. So I could get confirmation of that from DPR But I do think that work for us has already been done.
All right, thank you.
Do we have, I'm sorry, that was 160?
Yes, it's
And-
the same posture, guest informational for that.
Well, so
Unless
would
you
you be
wanna do-
willing to support that? I could recommend support, or I could recommend staying out of it. I think that we are a good resource for information about this issue. And so I would leave it to the board to say whether you feel strongly enough about it that you would want to support that bill.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the planning board support House Bill 160.
The chair, I second the
Yep. Let's move forward with supporting that bill.
Okay, thank you. All right, next bill, Jordan?
Yep.
Okay, SB
Just to
267.
interrupt, if we're going to support it, we should take.
We have to vote. Okay. So we can go back to House Bill 160. Is there a motion?
I move that the planning board support House Bill 160.
I second the motion.
It's been properly moved and second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye,
And I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next bill is Senate Bill 267, Building Affordability in My Backyard Act. This is, the acronym is BAMBI. So if you hear that, that's what they're talking about. This bill is coming to us from MACO. It is their version of the affordable housing bill for the year, and I assume they had a majority of the counties sign off on this bill in order to put it forward. So there are a number of items in this bill. We can go through a couple, but your staff has been through it sort of with a fine-tooth comb. I'm looking for it now. Sorry about that. Where is my bill? Here it is. Okay. So this bill establishes policies and processes to facilitate development of residential housing in the state. I'm sorry, do we have a question?
No.
No, okay. It authorizes local jurisdiction to establish administrative process to review, approve, modify, and deny certain development project applications. So the idea is you want to facilitate a shorter process if you're doing residential development. So some of the issues with this bill is that it just authorizes counties. It doesn't require counties to develop a shorter process. So, we assume that's going to be a sticking point. It just enables this to happen. And frankly, you could say that it's already sort of enabled. Counties can do this now. But it does give some sort of model suggestions for how it can be done and the details. So, this is basically a kinder, gentler approach to affordable housing than the state's, the administration bill, which is the Silver and Starter Homes Act. So we have basically two competing bills, operating in the same space. One is less yes. And the other one is much more prescriptive. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It has a lot of you must, and this one has a lot of you may. But it's basically covering the same things. So we have a meeting with the governor's staff. I think it's tomorrow, Jordan, isn't it?
Yes.
Where our planning directors are going to meet with the governor's staff on their bill. We also have lines of communication open with MACO. So we're going to do our best to try to navigate both of these bills. You know, I think the idea is that only one of them would succeed. I can't imagine that they both would. But you might see that some elements of each of them ends up getting transferred into the other. I think, you know, in the spirit of compromise, that's what I would expect to see. But we will continue to monitor this and continue to engage. We really think, you know, we need to keep in mind that affordable housing, making sure our housing is livable and habitable, making sure our, you know, all of our residents are living in safe housing within our counties, as well as affordable housing. All of that is what everybody wants. I don't think that that's a problem. I don't think that that's anything that we differ on. The question is, how do we get there, and what policies are going to get us there, as opposed to hinder us in getting there. So we'll continue to engage, but this is going to be an interesting session with these two bills. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions. And I'll also ask the planning department to weigh in if they have anything that they'd like to cover.
And the planning staff attended various sessions in the interim to go over this bill with MACO in partnership. So I just wanted to put that out there, that their continued support from the commission to help craft some of this bill was also a part of the process.
And both of these two bills are very important to the planning department and how we are looking to move forward here in Prince George's County. And it's one of those, both of these bills are one that I want us to support with amendment, simply because I think it affects how we do business on a day-to-day basis, that I believe it is important that we weigh in on these two bills because of just that, how it's going to affect how we do things. So I appreciate the fact that you guys are paying very close attention to these two bills, and I'm sure MACO also has a land use or housing bill coming out as well, from what I understand, that we want to pay close attention to that one as well, because I think it's important that they understand the position that the Prince George's County Planning Department has on these things. And I know that Acting Director James Hunt has been fully engaged and paying close attention to these bills. And he is ready to do his part, and I am as well. So that's all I have. If any other board member has a question.
I have none. So are you seeking a motion at this point that we support? Or?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay.
Not at this time, but we will bring this back to you. We want to talk to a few more people. We want a little more time with both of these bills. They're big bills. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to.
Yes, sir.
I just want to encourage Ms. Deborah in the spirit of Bambi. We are awaiting the return of this bill because, like Mr. Chairman said, it's very important and it aligns with the project of the county. So we're happy to see this come back.
Absolutely. Okay, next bill is
Move around the toolbar. Give me 1 second. This is the governor's housing bill here. That is the other housing bill.
okay. Do we have an update on that, or do we want to wait until after we've had our meeting? So I don't think we have. I know we've got some additional comments, but
no. Right now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think all we really want to say is with these two bills, this is the governor's bill. The previous one was MACO's bill. With both of these bills, we're continuing to have discussions and engage, and we're also continuing to refine our own comments and our own thoughts about these bills. So, we want to keep bringing it back in case you have additional questions, because again, there's a lot in both of these bills. this is the one that's very prescriptive, that gets into telling us statewide, what setbacks you have to have for a single family home, and getting into, really changing development standards on a statewide basis. So that always makes the planners sit up straight and pay attention, because that's what we do on a local level. And so for the state to do that is very unusual. So again, I'll stop there and see if you have any questions about this. But again, we're going to bring this back several times because of its importance and because we want to make sure you have all the information as well as several opportunities to ask questions about it.
Mr. Chair, I have one question for Ms. Gordon. Do either of the bills address accessory dwelling units?
No, that was actually addressed about 2 years ago. And the state actually did an accessory dwelling unit bill that gave us basically minimum standards. At minimum, every county needed to have accessory dwelling units, and then it gave us minimum standards for that. And then each county then had to incorporate that into their zoning ordinance. It's my understanding that Prince George's did that recently in the past 6 months. The planning department can expound on that, but yeah, we have done that already. So thankfully, they're not trying to redo that at this point.
Okay. Mr. Hunt?
Yes, sir. For the record, James Hunt with the Planning Department. The Planning Department does have a work group that we're working through right now. We do have also a missing middle housing study that we're working through as well. So just like General Counsel just stated, the housing in Prince George's County, all over Maryland, is a very important topic right now. And we're looking all over the place to kind of make sure we address each and every aspect of affordability. And so this is how we're really doing that strategically, by creating these task force or work groups to make sure this happens effectively for us.
Thank you.
Okay, next bill. Okay, this Senate Bill 181. So this bill is requiring the government basically to phase out the use of lead-based ammunition. And the reason this is important to us is because both counties, both Montgomery and Prince George's, have a sharpshooting program to control the population of deer in our parks. We have coordinated with both counties, Prince George's and Montgomery, and coordinated with both county police departments in this regard for many years. We were responding to the number of vehicle accidents involving deer that occur near and around our properties. And we were responding to, citizen concerns about those safety issues. So we have, a very standard process that we go through. We have a notification process that we go through in order to do our sharpshooting activities. It's very heavily regulated, obviously. And so this would impact that. And the reason that it impacts it is because, at least we're concerned, that non-lead ammunition is not really being manufactured, at least not in the type that we need to use in these activities, in these sharpshooter activities. So we're not necessarily opposed to it. What we are concerned about is the availability of these non-lead alternatives if this prohibition happens. And so we've developed, again, an information sheet on this, and we want to reach out to the sponsor to see if the sponsor is open to our suggestions and our information about this. Maybe there should be a longer lead time to get this ammunition phased out so that we can make sure that we can actually have alternatives, or alternatives are actually available. So we're interested in talking to the sponsor about that to see what can be done. because lead shot is certainly harmful. It's harmful to wildlife. It is not certainly a non-toxic kind of thing. And so we're interested in the phase out. We're just not sure that we really today have a reasonable alternative to this type of ammunition. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
So I'm looking at, in the preamble part of Senate Bill 181, they talk about countries that are set out by 2029. So does this bill say when this would have to take effect if approved?
Yes, it does.
July 1st, 2026.
It would be
No,
the end
2029.
2029.
Oh, 2029.
Yeah, the regulations have to be adopted in July 2028, and then the phase out has to be by 2029.
So do you know whether or not, or do any of our experts know whether or not the non-lead ammunition can be developed or produced by that time, or manufactured sufficient amounts?
That's the issue. We don't know. All we know is today it's very, very difficult to get it. We've been able to find one producer, but they don't produce it regularly. So that's what we're concerned about.
Okay.
So we want to talk to them about it and see if there's a different approach, either giving DNR the ability to make a decision about whether it's available, what that decision could be based on, et cetera. So, there's a way to make this work, we think, but we just need to talk to the sponsor.
Okay, thank you.
So it's just informational, but want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on and that we're talking to people about it, because a lot of people, you say sharpshooter and they wonder, why are you a parks department doing sharpshooter programming at all? So it shocks some people. So we want to make sure that you're aware of it.
Fair enough.
Okay, next bill, House Bill 73. This is the water safety bill. So we have been in discussions with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Do we have a presentation, or is that not teed up, Jordan?
No, we don't have a presentation, but we submitted a request for support for this bill based on the current history that the Parks Department has had with water swimming courses and the bill sponsor. Okay,
so we have some information. We also have experience with these water safety courses. And so we would like to engage with the sponsor and provide that information and help them to the extent that we can. We know that this is a statewide bill, so it's going to be a tough slog to get it passed. What this bill does is it requires the State Board of Education to develop a curriculum, which obviously we have experience with. We have done exactly that, water safety. And then it would require county boards to implement. It does not require county boards to have access to a swimming pool. There are other activities, other ways that they can implement. And so we want to talk about how that works, how it actually works on the ground and in practice, since we do have experience with that. And we have a particular person at DPR who has experience with this and really is kind of excited about sharing her knowledge about that. Tara Eggleston wants to do that. So we hope that we can engage and to the extent you have any questions about it, we will gather that up and bring it back to you.
And I just wanted to add that it's also noted in the statement that since 2011, the Parks Department has been in partnership with the Prince George's County Public Schools to do the water safety and education program with the second graders. So this is just really a leg up for extending that type of service to the county.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a heavy lift for a statewide bill, but I do believe it's important. especially as it affects people of color. So to at least be on record on our position on this, I think is really important. I do agree with you, Ms. Gordon, that Tara is an expert when it comes to water safety. I've had conversations with Director Stanton, who is in agreement that we will all be there to support her when or if she's needed to testify.
Wonderful. Jordan, do we need a vote on this?
Yes, we need a support vote.
Okay. I move, Mr. Chair, I move that we support House Bill 73.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion to
Been
support.
properly moved in second. I will now call a roll. Vice Chair Giraldo,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye,
And I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. That's all we have for you today.
We have one last one, the program Open Space.
Oh, I thought we did that one. I'm sorry.
No, we didn't do that one yet. It's just a update informing them about the risks of program Open Space through the BRFA.
Okay, so the state deficit, of course, is requiring or encouraging the administration and as well as the legislators to sort of look everywhere they can for funds. And every year that this happens, it seems that they look to program Open Space to close some of the gap. And so this year is no different. This time, the proposal is to, instead of giving, basically pay-go funds, just funding program Open Space, the idea is to fund it with GO bonds, so to fund it with debt. And so obviously we're concerned about that.
Yeah.
Because that would indicate that, there's interest then to be paid. Where's that money going to come from? Probably from the transfer tax, which is probably then going to lower the amount of money available again for this program. This proposal is sort of tucked into the BRFA, which is the Budget and Financing Reconciliation Act. Which is an act that they do every year. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and we would like to submit again an informational sheet on this, telling them how this would impact our projects that rely on program Open Space. Just so you know, program Open Space is a state program for preserving open space, preserving recreational area, and it has been very successful. It has been in place since 1970. All of the counties have access to these funds, and all of the counties benefit from these funds every year. So, anything that lowers the amount available, that jeopardizes the amounts that will be available in the future, raises our eyebrows, and we want to make sure that we speak up and say how that would impact us and how that would affect us. So that's what we'd like to do. We have drafted this, and we'd like to also again engage. We're, obviously you don't vote to not support the BRFA, but you do try to get concessions on these proposals. These are just proposals at this point, and we want to see if we can get some relief there and have them find the money elsewhere.
I totally agree.
Agree.
And usually each year we get about, depending on the year, depending on how the transfer tax has gone, we get about $6 million, maybe $5 to $6 million a year from this program. So it's significant for us.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is all we have for you today. Thank you so much for your attention.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Borden
No.
or Ms. Colbert?
I just want to thank the staff for this.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, there's one other bill listed on our agenda, SB 197, but that's actually been removed because I'm not ready to discuss that yet.
Fair enough.
Sorry about that. It's very fluid. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion on the legislative updates?
We don't need a motion.
We don't?
No,
Well, good. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
No
Thank you.
problem. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This concludes all items on today's agenda. I would like to thank our staff for all their work in coming in during this snowy day. It is now 10:47 and the meeting is now adjourned.